Emma Walsh had brutally bladed her boyfriend in the heart after sending messages to him saying, "I would never do anything to hurt you." Everton born and bred lass Emma Walsh was told that she would have to serve a minimum of 18 years in jail after she had subjected her boyfriend, 36-year-old Gary Morgan, to a year of unbearable and intolerable hell that was marred with explosive arguments and also bruises and puncture wounds and black eyes and fractured bones. Sadly, Emma would go on to blade her own boyfriend in the heart because she could not quell her emotions, such as her tumultuous temper. Emma Walsh was polar opposites to her boyfriend. While Emma loved to drink, was said to be loud and brash and antagonising, confrontational and a brute in all sense of the word, Gary was described as kind, quiet, loved by all, and also hard-working. He owned his own landscaping business. Gary, along with his entire family, knew that it was only a matter of time before Emma would end up K-ing him. Now, according to reports, on the day of the M, April 10th of 2022, Emma Walsh had spent the evening in the pub with Gary. In court, Judge Menery had a few choice words for Emma Walsh, describing Emma as a woman whom, in every sense of the word, had emasculated Gary Morgan. He was a DV. Now, the judge says for much of the relationship, it was marked by frequent, unpleasant arguments. I have no doubt many of these were the result of your extreme, irrational jealousy and your consequent desire to dominate and control every aspect of Gary Morgan's life. Now, on the day that Emma Walsh had callously taken the life of Gary Morgan, the man the spiteful and selfish woman claimed to love and could not live without, Emma and Gary had spent the afternoon at the Belmont pub. Over a few drinks, the couple had watched Liverpool draw 2-2 with Manchester City. The couple then stayed for karaoke night. The couple, who were both over-the-top drinkers, then returned to Emma's home, a home she shared with her dad, Lavan Close, which was a bungalow, and they arrived back at 10 p.m. Emma, who was known to turn nasty whenever she had a drink, had went into full rage mode once again. This was frequent, to the point where her lips were pursed and she frothed and foamed from the mouth as she stomped back and forth, breaking things. Gary, who was a victim in the foul relationship, should have saw the warning signs. He had to deal with this for more or less a year. Now, Gary and Emma had first started dating a year earlier, when Emma had contacted Gary, whom owned a paving and landscaping business, and this was over Facebook. The bliss in the relationship only lasted a matter of weeks. Previously, Gary had been struck with his work tools that included angle grinder and also a rake, and in a separate incident, Emma Walsh had opened up the brow above Gary's eye, which was classed as a big and open gash, and she did that by using the metal edge of a spirit level. He was regularly struck in the face, back, shoulders, legs. So unapologetic was Emma Walsh that she even lobbed a Subway sandwich at Gary, and then when Gary went down to pick up the sandwich, she had then booted him in the face in front of Gary's dad, James. Gary had also been bladed in the neck previously. Now, it was alleged that after an argument, she had smashed plates and tried to use the broken edge to open Gary's cheek. When that didn't work, Emma then moved on to a blade, and then she launched herself at Gary before putting the metal into his neck. Whenever Gary voiced his urge to leave the relationship or attempt to defuse the situation, Emma would promise Gary that she would send the Crocky gang to Gary's mum's home. In sheer desperation, Gary had sent Emma messages saying, "My face is split open, got bite marks on my chest, and my elbow is shattered. You are a BULLY. I'm not staying around so you can K me." In response, Emma sent messages back saying, "I love you, and no matter what, I will always do. Just please remember me, for the good times are going to end it all." Gary in response says that he can't take it no more, and how you promised me that you would never do this again. Please don't contact me, I need time for myself. I've got bruises all over my body. Even Gary's family and friends implored Gary to end the relationship, but he would always respond by telling them in earnest that he loved her. Assay all these previous incidences and the dialogue that included broken bones and black and bruised eyes to say Gary should have immediately retreated. After all, Gary had told friends that one day Emma is going to K him. In one such incident, Gary, whom had become undone, had confessed to his dad, James Morgan, that the constant patches of black-blue bruises to his eyes, neck, rib cage and back were a result of being struck by Emma every time they went out. So, after the argument on April 10th, Emma had taken up a kitchen blade and then she used a pointed edge to plunge it into Gary's chest, whom 1 was not armed, 2 was not a threat to Emma in any form of way, and 3 had no time to retreat. Emma had used a repetitive motion to prod, poke and jab at Gary. He was struck in the arm also, the upper arm, but sadly it was the heart that had suffered the most force. When Emma Walsh found out that Gary was in a bad way and the colour was draining from his face, she dialed 999 after the incident and she told the operator some fella had bladed Gary Morgan during an argument. Police and emergency services then rushed to the scene. However, while they worked on Gary Morgan, police had made a decision to arrest Emma Walsh, and her reply when she was arrested and attempted M charge was, "Wow, that's heavy that." Within 30 minutes of arriving at the police station, Emma was told that Gary Morgan had been pronounced dead, and this was now an M. Now, when the pathologist checked over Gary Morgan's body, they noticed his body had showed signs of trauma a lot, and they included scars to the hands, face, back, stomach, and also fractured ribs, some old and some new. When Emma had another chance to speak to police, again she told officers that Gary had been ambushed by some bloke in town, and when that didn't work, Emma then told officers that maybe it was a jealous ex-boyfriend could be responsible for the incident. The K then changed the story once again, this time saying that Gary liked to drink and was completely sloshed and he had fallen on a piece of plastic that came off a Bluetooth speaker. However, when Emma was taken into custody, Emma's volatile past came into focus, and Emma confessed to the blading but explained to investigating officers that she had done so only after Gary had advanced on her and put his hands round her neck. What Emma could not account for was police had quickly built up a case against the 28-year-old. Police found out that Emma Walsh had problems with controlling her temper, and a way of dealing with a problem that arose in relationships was to bite, scratch, claw, and also use objects, which could be a hammer, a rake, a wrench, a spanner, even a blade. Now, Emma had previously bladed a previous boyfriend. The blade actually went through the wrist, which caused severe nerve damage, and went through arteries. In court, the jury took less than 2 hours to find Emma Walsh guilty of the M, and the mum was jailed for life, and she was told that she would have to serve a minimum of 18 years in jail. Does the crime match the sentence? Let me know. Stay safe.